The next morning, we had a chapter review on fractions. I don't know why they call it a review. Review means we go over something you already know. Like reviewing the 7 steps you need to take to get to the dragon in my favorite video game. Or going over every flavor ice cream 3 times before deciding on which one to get. I don't mind reviewing my game plan to become a famous inventor someday. But I definitely couldn't review fractions because I didn't understand them in the first place. Besides, everybody knew that review was just a fancy word for test. Teachers thought they could get away with sneaking in one if they called it something different. I stared at the numbers on the page. 1/3 plus 1/3. Did that equal 1/6? Or 2/3? Or 2 1/3? The only number that I was sure about was the 0 I was going to get on that review. That night I started writing my speech. I quit after 10 minutes. I'd done quite a bit for one night. I had written 2 lines and I didn't want to burn out. I needed to pace myself. Miss Diane, honorable judges, and fellow classmates, do you ever wonder if something is really there? I put away my speech and headed downstairs to get something to eat. Writing works up an appetite. I grabbed some pita bread stuffed with meatless meat left over from supper. I threw out the meatless meat and stuffed the pita with peanut butter. No use wasting the good stuff on me. Mom was out on the deck looking at the stars. She was holding up one hand with her fingers spread out. It looked like she was trying to put a spell on the sky. "What are you doing?" I asked her as I jumped into my old hammock under the pine tree that overhung the deck. "I'm trying to measure the distance between the stars," she said, passing me a plate of flaxseed and honey cookies. "Did you know that if you could hold your hand outstretched like this, the span from your thumb to your little finger is about 25 degrees, which is the length of the Big Dipper?" she asked. I nodded, pretending to be interested. I picked the flaxseed out of the cookies and dropped them through the holes in the deck for the birds. "Don't you think you should be using something better to look at the stars with than your fingers?" I asked. It looked pretty weird to me, like some voodoo thing that I'd seen on TV. "Sure, a telescope would be nice," Mom said. "Maybe if we had a little bit more money to spare, we could look into buying a used one. Or maybe she could borrow one from the astronomy club if she got elected," I thought. Heck, maybe she could borrow one for me too, so I could spy on the new kid across the street. Every morning he looked taller. He seemed to grow an inch a day. Mom said he was probably going through a growth spurt. How come these growth spurts didn't happen to me? I wondered where I could pick one up. Too bad they didn't sell them at the store. I sure hope that kid used his growth spurt before next fall, or he'd probably take the spot I was trying out for on the basketball team. I was sure that there had to be more to it than a growth spurt, though. I bet that kid did some sort of weird exercises at night, or had some sort of medieval stretching machine in his attic. I'd find out soon enough if I had a telescope. Mom moved her hands to measure a different section of the sky. She was as excited about the astronomy club as I was about fishing or video games. I guess everyone likes something different. I once heard that Becky, the shy kid in my class, has a really weird mother. She likes to collect paper clips. I mean, how many different kinds of paper clips can there be? Wouldn't you get totally bored after a while? I guess you could make a paperclip fishing pole or a paperclip leash. It would be a pretty weak leash, though. It would probably do for a hamster or something, but I don't remember seeing too many hamsters with leashes. Maybe I could add that to my invention list. Then there's Jake's mom. She likes to collect garbage. Well, not all garbage, just the kind that you can make art with, like foam trays and old cans. I caught her going through a recycling box twice last year. I shook my head as I imagined Becky's mom and her paperclip necklace and Jake's mom and his garbage art. Nope, having a mom who was interested in the stars was a whole lot better than having one who was fascinated by that other weird stuff. I decided to tell Mom about my speech topic. I was right in the middle of describing things that weren't there when a giant pine cone hit me smack in the middle of my forehead. Maybe it was reminding me not to think so hard. I looked up at the pine tree way above my head. Gravity, Mom said, laughing. It's an unseen force. Things that aren't there, we both said at once. I nodded again and looked at the stars. I stretched my hand out in front of me and squinted. Maybe this astronomy thing wasn't so bad after all. I'd found another idea for my speech. Plus, I'd learned a new trick of measuring. I wondered how many fingers wide Tiffany's brain was. I didn't think there could be anything that small. Maybe an atom? But it wasn't there. Or was it?